creates a more interactive macronutrient from the origination under one roof by river.
Please stay on the line for the
By
next
rail.
Welcome to the Scott Combs Voiceovers Podcast. I'm Scott, and today we're talking about learning how to read out loud. Now, most people think this is pretty simple. You just open up your mouth and read, right? Well, no, it's not. It doesn't come to most people very naturally. It takes a bunch of practice. So think about it this way. Reading out loud is a skill, and it's actually a set of skills, and we're going to kind of start going through those now so you can get used to thinking about it. Nobody's very good at first. If you've had some experience in, say, live public speaking or acting or singing, something like that, you've got a bit of a leg up. But even if you haven't, you've got some stuff you can still do. And, it doesn't mean the door is closed. It just means you have another little step to take. And I'll be happy to help you out with that. When you're getting used to reading out loud, you need to learn to read smoothly. And that's not about reading perfectly cold. I mean, what you want to do is read the script over and over and over again, so you sort of get used to it. You know where the pauses are, where the stops are, where you can take a breath without breaking up the sentences or without breaking up the flow too much. It just takes a little bit of work, and you start reading more smoothly. But this isn't about, taking one look at a sheet of paper and just, barking off a commercial. It takes a bunch of practice. And there is no commercial I don't think I've ever read once, right? Even if the first take is the one that my client uses, I'm going to do at least one, maybe two, maybe three more. So, at some point they're going to say, well, let's push this around a little bit, do the end a little differently, do the beginning a little differently, emphasize this word in here a little more. So, in 42 years, I won't say it's never happened that I've just done one take and people have walked away. I'm just saying it's kind of unlikely, and it's been so, if it has happened, it's been so few, I don't remember them, right? So read the same script over and over again. Get used to it. You don't need to do anything else right now. You may not want to walk around the house doing it, or, the folks you live with are going to think you're a little nutty. Of course, the cat won't think anything of it, but other people might. So find yourself a room where you can sit down and you can read out loud. And I don't mean reading it with sort of a whisper. I don't read, just kind of go. No, I mean in a full voice, expressing it, saying the words. That's really important. The next thing you might want to do is slow down. Slow down just a little bit, and that'll help you read more smoothly. We'll talk more about pace further down the line. You also need to get used to the sound of your own voice. And this is hard. Everybody, the first time they hear their own voice played back to them, say to everybody, is that what I sound like? Well, yeah, to everybody else. We all sound different in our head because we can feel the resonance in our chest. We can feel our vocal cords. Our head resonates a bit. Our sinuses resonate a bit. And what we hear is wildly different from what the rest of the world is hearing. So you have to get used to that, which means you've got to record your voice and you have to play it back to yourself. And at this point, almost any recording device will do, and any smartphone has audio recording right on it. So once you get used to kind of reading whatever passage or script you're reading, turn on the recorder, read your passage into it, and play it back to yourself. And you're going to hear mistakes you make. You're going to hear inflection problems. You're going to hear problems with handling punctuation, things like that. It's all okay. As a matter of fact, you want to hear that. If you hear that, that's good. It means you can fix it the next time you read it into the recorder. Okay? Now, if all you've got is a tablet and it doesn't have an audio recorder on it, there's all kinds of apps. You can go download them and you won't have a problem. Coming up, maybe the next podcast, I will give you some other options for better recording devices. Okay? Now, when you turn on your phone or your tablet or whatever and you're going to read into it, turn on the recorder and read something for about 30 seconds to a minute. As a matter of fact, I think keeping it shorter is better right now. So 30 seconds would be more than enough. Then listen back And you should hear places where you can improve the way you read it. Read it again. Play it back. Read it again. Play it back. And don't worry that you sound funny. You'll get used to it. If you can sort of deal with the fact that your voice is sort of cringeworthy, it's really not. But if you can deal with that, then you can move along pretty well and pretty steadily. You know, the big question comes, you know, where do I get my source material? Well, I have a couple of ideas for that. You can look at sections of books that you like, that you've read before. They can be fiction or nonfiction. They could be textbooks. I mean, there's a whole business in reading textbooks. They could be children's books. Pokey Little Puppy is one I used to read to my kids, and it's the first title that comes to mind. It's a great one to read because you have to read with inflection and excitement. And when things are very happy, you have to be very happy. And when things are dangerous, you have to get dark and a little bit dangerous, right? You have to have all these emotions expressed, and it sort of pulls it out of us. And it really helps if you record that into your phone or tablet and play it back to yourself and listen to it and say, oh, okay, I could read that differently. I think that's a really good idea. You could grab news stories off the internet, which is a perfect idea. And for news stories, you're going to want to kind of mimic some of the news readers that are out there. Hang on just a second. Excuse me. You're going to want to mimic the guys you hear on the news. So if you have a favorite newscaster, a favorite anchor, or something like that, listen to how they read the news. Try reading your news that way. Then listen back to it. Did I get close? Well, I really wasn't close. I have to fix this and this. Okay, read it again. Play it back. Ooh, I did that better this time. Keep that up. It's really important to develop your ear. You can also grab advertising copy, and you can get that out of magazines, newspapers, on the internet. It's written by pros, so it's generally written pretty well. And you can try reading that advertising copy. A lot of it has a lot of visuals and not much copy, so you can run out of copy real fast. And I'd really like to have you around 30 seconds so that you can sort of get into it and show a few different emotions. So, you know, look for stuff that might be copy heavy. I think that might be a really good idea. You could read cereal boxes. You could read poetry. And poetry is great because, once again, you have to emote. You have to show some emotion. You have to move the ball forward, and it has a rhythm and tempo that you have to stay with in order for it to make sense. You could use dialogue from a play. My friend Emily is going to love that. Just read dialogue from any play, and you'll kind of learn how dialogue works. You're going to want to sound more like a real person. So you turn on your phone, hit record, you read the lines, and then you listen to it again, you say, wow, I didn't sound like a real person at all, did I? It takes some practice. It's really hard to sound like a man on the street when you're reading into a recording device. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. In fact, I've got a very close friend of mine, a man I love to death. His name is Scott. And he has this beautiful speaking voice. It's gorgeous. It's dulcet and pear-shaped, mellifluous even. And I remember early in my career, I brought him into a radio station I was working at to read some stuff for me. Turned on the microphone, go for it, and he disappeared. And it took him a long time to kind of get used to working on microphones and how to project emotion into that. So everybody struggles. And my friend Scott got to be very, very good at this sort of thing. And he became a good singer and a good performer. It was awesome to see. I think that pretty much covers things that you can pick up. So if you have any comments or questions, just leave them below and make sure to keep it civil. We're here to help each other. If you like this kind of content, please hit like, please hit subscribe, please hit the bell so you know whenever I post a new video that you can come out and see it. Cool? Cool. Talk to you later.